So when the stars begin to blink low in the sky, and the world around you hushes to a near silence, that's when the soft-footed giants awake. From their mossy beds, they rise up from the earth, careful not to disturb the ground or wake the sleepers still dreaming their nightly dreams. For these giants aren't made of stone or metal or muscle and bone like you and me. They're made of earth and moss and quiet contemplation. Their footprints are soft as downy feathers, yet their steps are sure and steady as the North Star in its journey through the night sky. I was very young then, just a wee babe nestled in my cradle. She promised to tell me about mischievous pixies and enchanted rings. She vowed to take me on adventures of my own, if I would but listen to one more tale. One night he woke and cried out in his sleep, and his parents rushed to his side, frantic with worry. "What troubles you, little one? Do you need a drink of water or a change of linen?" They're a part of the world that we forget easily when life gets too busy. But if you open your eyes and your heart to the magic all around you, you might just see one of these giants, too. You might feel the wonder of 1,000 untold stories settle in your soul and whisper to you of dreams waiting to be remembered. All you have to do is look for the signs, the wink of a star, the rustle of leaves, the hush of a summer night. For the giants walk among us, bringing lost dreams home. The babe shook his head, his eyes wide with wonder. "I want to go outside," he whispered, and his parents, though troubled by his strange request, didn't dare argue. They dressed him in a coat against the night chill and carried him outside. Once in the fresh air, the boy calmed, his breathing growing slow and steady. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you." Then he went back to sleep in his parents' arms. But I refused until the night I woke and saw a giant standing by my crib. Finally, they took their son to the village elder, known for her wisdom and patience. "Help us, wise woman," they begged. "Our son wakes every night demanding to be taken outside. We're afraid he'll hurt himself or catch a fever." The elder listened patiently, then smiled knowingly. "Your son is not in danger," she said. "He is being visited by a soft-footed giant." The parents frowned. "A giant? But how can we protect him?" The elder shook her head. "You cannot shield yourself from magic any more than you can stop the wind from blowing. Your son isn't in danger. He's learning something very important." That night, as soon as the babe stirred, his parents knew exactly what to do. They carried him outside and laid him down in the grass. Then they sat back and watched as a giant made of moss and moonlight approached. The giant knelt beside the boy and whispered, "Little one, are you ready to play?" The babe nodded, his eyes shining with excitement. And the giant, with a gentle smile, began to hum a tune. It was a song of starlight and dreams, of faraway lands and magical beasts. The babe listened, entranced, as the giant spun tales of daring adventures in faraway places. And as the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon, the giant faded away, leaving the babe fast asleep in his parents' arms. Each night the parents did the same, carrying their son outside to meet the giant who taught him the language of the stars and the secrets of the forest. And as the years passed, the boy grew up with a deep connection to the natural world and a heart full of wonder. Its eyes were pools of starlight, and its skin was the color of rich, fertile soil. It knelt beside me and whispered in a voice like rustling leaves, "Little one, why do you turn away from your mother's tales? Are you not entertained by brave huntsmen and fearsome dragons?" I shook my head, wanting something different, something new. So the giant rose and moved to the window. There it scooped up a handful of starlight and sprinkled it across the floor. Then it beckoned for me to follow. With curious steps, I left my cradle and wandered after the giant. As I trailed behind it, the path grew brighter and brighter until it led me outside to the riverbank. The giant pointed to a boat made of leaves and vines resting on the water, and with a final wave, it vanished. Leaping into the boat, I drifted down the river, surrounded by fireflies and dragonflies, until I reached a land unlike any I'd ever seen. Rolling hills carpeted with moss stretched as far as the eye could see. Crystal clear streams meandered through fields of wildflowers, and the air buzzed with the music of 1,000 unseen instruments. I spent what felt like hours playing with fawns and pixies, racing through meadows and swimming in waterfalls, until the sun began to rise, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold. With heavy hearts, the fawns and pixies bid me farewell, and I returned home in the giant's boat. When I told my mother of my adventures, she smiled knowingly and continued to tell me tales of the great beyond. But now those stories felt fresh and exciting once more. And I understood that sometimes you must wander alone before you can appreciate the comfort of home. My mother would rock me gently, singing songs of brave huntsmen and magical lands, of daring adventures and fantastical creatures. But let me ask you this. Have you ever gazed up at the stars and wondered? Have you ever looked upon a field of waving grass and felt a sense of peace settle over you? If you have, then you already know the truth of the soft-footed giants. But as the weeks passed, I grew restless. The stories I'd heard 100 times began to feel stale and predictable. The hero always won in the end, and the dragons always breathed fire. I wanted something new, something different, so I stopped listening to my mother's tales. Instead, I turned my face toward the wall, refusing to hear another word of those old stories. They walk lightly upon the land, careful not to crush a leaf or disturb a sleeping animal. The only sound they make is the gentle rustling of moss against stone and the whisper of wind through the grasses that crown their heads. These giants each have a single task: to find those who have lost their dreams and return them to the sky. For you see, dreams are a precious thing, and it's said that even the gods above grow weary of mortals forgetting their dreams. It will walk softly through the stillness of the night, its moss-covered head brushing against the leaves of trees, its bare feet finding purchase on the rocks and stones. These giants have walked this prehistoric earth for so long that they know every crevice and cranny, every rise and fall of the land, and with patient steps they move toward the source of a troubled mind, walking over hills and dales, across rivers and plains. They'll come for anyone who needs them, be they young or old, human or animal. For all living things dream, and all living things sometimes lose their way. Now, I don't mean to imply that we spend all our days chasing butterflies and dancing with fairies. Sometimes life gets heavy, and it can be easy to forget that wonder is something worth chasing, that imagination is a friend. When this happens, a giant will rise from its moss-covered slumber. I remember the first time a soft-footed giant came for me. My mother grew worried. She tried everything she could think of to win me back to her stories. Now, you may be thinking that I am mad, spinning yarns of giants made of moss and dreams. There was a young babe who slept in a house much like yours and mine. This happened again and again for many nights, and the parents grew exhausted from pacing to and fro. Do you see now? The soft-footed giants aren't just legends or fairy tales.